again, everyone. Today I thought I'd try and do a quick video to show how I made this card. These little dragonflies are one of my latest acquisitions from Gummiapan, and this backdrop was just made, as are the dragonflies, from the offcut which I get when I make a square card. I make all my card bases from sheets of A4. So you imagine this is the largest card I can make. That's come from there. So I cut it, fold it, and I always have a piece left over. So that's going to be my card base. This is what I'm going to use both for the backdrop and for the die cuts. I did make a new a panel for the front, and for that I used double stitch dies. And the thing about double stitch dies is whether you cut a shape, a panel, whatever, itself, or an aperture, you always get the stitching, because the stitching is either side of the cutting line. So that's a good size to fit on my card front. This one I chose because I can fit a piece from my offcut onto it, which will go behind, just big enough to go behind to make the coloured panel. So that's why I chose those two sizes. Just put those away for the minute. And this is the panel which I cut with those two dies. You've got the stitching on the surround of this one and on just on the inside of the cutting line on that one. Don't remember the make of those, but there's so many makes now that do double stitch dies. You can, wherever you are in the world, you can find something, I'm sure. So that's going to be my card and its panel. Put that on one side for a minute. I'm going to start on this. This is another piece of offcut here. You can see I have cut these little dragonfly wings from this piece, and I've cut two. Each die consists of a patterned or embossed top layer. This one's got a few little holes and some stitching lines on the top, and the back or the bottom layer is just absolutely plain. So what I want to do with those is to decorate them like this. I have used luscious powders and gilding flakes. So let's do that first. The bodies, I've used gilding flakes as well, because I wanted the two golds to be exactly the same. I've used the same gilding flakes for the sentiment as well, just to keep it all kind of matching. So I've cut these out, oopsie daisy, cut these out, and the first thing is to give them their colour. So I'm just going to try and, this sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't, put these back in so that they're kind of easier to work with. And if they do move about a bit, I could just put a little bit of low tack tape on the back to hold them still while I work on them. I'm hoping they'll stay still without, but if not, I can always do the low tack tape business. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to put some glue on, and for this I'm going to use this Nuvo large glue pen, and I'm just going to glue completely over the wings, all of them. This also keeps a bit of the mess off the desk. Perhaps I should have put some low tack tape behind this one. We'll see. We'll see. Okay. Right, so we've got glue all over everywhere. Okay. Next thing, some tiny bits of gilding flakes. These are Nuvo gilding flakes. I have all sorts of different makes, all stored on my wonderful shelf that I made on my indigo blue retreat. Now I want tiny, tiny bits of this. So let's get some, that's the wrong one. I've got favourite tweezers. Just tiny bits here and there. just on the top layer, I think. That's the fancy layer, the one with the stitching and the little apertures. I only want the tiniest bit, so just bits out of the lid. I just want splodges of gold on these two little dragonflies. There we go. Put a bit more on that one, I think. Some makes of gilding flakes are so huge. These little dragonflies would get totally covered with one flake. Right. Okay. There. That'll do. Just going to tap them down. Make sure they've got home. There we go. Now the next thing I'm going to do is add some of my luscious powders, and I've got green, out of the blue, and peacock. So let's have some of these, and I'm going to apply these with a brush. This is just a soft, I think it's actually a Perfect Pearls brush. So a little bit of powder. I'm putting just a little bit here and a little bit there. Okay, that perhaps do for the green. Now we'll have some peacock. Just give my brush a little dabble on a bit of paper towel with some peacock. And the glue is grabbing the luscious powder. Okay. And now we'll use some out of the blue. Give my brush a little work again. Okay, here we go. This one has got a lot of glittery stuff in it. It's really lovely. Anytime you're decorating small die cuts, it's always a good idea to put them back into the card that they were cut from, because A, you don't have to hold them with your fingers, and B, you don't get your desk so messy. Although I've got powder over here, I can see now. Right. Now there's a little bit missing there of, I haven't got any, I didn't really want to use this bit. So there's a tiny little bit missing. There we go, that's got it. Good-o. The next thing I'm going to do is with this, my scoochie, or your burnishing, whatever you do your burnishing with, just to give it a bit of a rub to get that gold shining and settled on the wings. Okay, that's them done. Now the next thing I want to do is, I think I'll use the rest of this one while I'm using it. I'll keep that one for spare. I'm going to just do a piece of gilding on here so that I can cut the body and the sentiment from it. So I think I'll just wipe this up. There we go. This black mat, it reminds me of my kitchen in a way. My previous kitchen, we had black granite worktops, and you couldn't see if it was dirty. You know, you couldn't see the marks. And this kitchen, I've got white quartz, and I really, really prefer it because I can actually see what's there. Right, just putting some glue on here. Oh. Right. My husband just poked his nose round the door, saw I was busy and sloped off. Right, glue on there. Next I'm going to put gilding flakes onto this and cover this piece completely. Look at the size of these. As I said, look at them. Some of them are just huge. But as I want to cover the whole lot, that's absolutely fine. There we go. I do love gilding flakes. The gold that it gives at the end is just so much nicer than you know, gold card or whatever. It's got that, I don't know, it's got a luster rather than a real shine. Not sticking terribly well. Perhaps I should have left it just a tad longer. Put a bit more in here. I want to cover up all the gaps. One reason I bought that wide glue pen was because it said for gilding flakes, but right, I think we're nearly there. Just tamp it down and then burnish. Here we go. Yeah, there's a few gaps, but I'm not going to worry because it's not that I want the whole thing. I've got plenty of space to cut my body. So a couple of bodies, I'll just do that. I've had to move my die cutting machine off my desk because this big mat's taken up so much space. I'm just going to cut a couple of these. Just show you with one. If when you have done this process for gilding, before you do any die cutting, it's just as well to just feel it with your fingers. And if for any reason it feels a bit tacky, just go over it like this with your anti-static tool before you put it through your die cutting machine, then it won't stick to the plates. Right, now all I want to do now to assemble these is, whoops, daisies, out you come, is to put a couple of, just use glue dots. I use a glue dot between the two layers there, and either a glue dot or a little bit of white glue for that one there. So I'm just going to put this on one side for a minute while I just show you how I did the backdrop. Oh, I haven't got a, let's have a wipe up. Right, there we go. So what I did for the backdrop was again to use my piece of offcut, and with a couple of blending brushes, I've got Tumbled glass and prize ribbon. I've been watching a series of videos by Lou Collins doing blending of distress oxides. Really, really interesting. What colours you can put together is just fabulous. So, just give that a, yes, it's fine. Okay, this is my tumbled glass. I'm just going to get some onto the page. I did get this little blending mat. I don't know if it's essential with having a mat like this, but we'll see how we go. These are what Lou uses. Often when blending, I use my brush like this because I want to, if I'm doing stenciling, I want a really light touch, and I can always go more heavily later. But to put colour on like this, I think you need a bit more pressure on the actual head of the brush itself. How you do your blending is entirely up to you, of course. Right. Love Oxides. They've got such lovely colours, and the things you can do with them is amazing. I'll just wipe that off. Dry it. Okay. Now I want to bring in a bit of the deeper blue. This is Prize Ribbon, is it? Yes, Prize Ribbon. And what I did with this one was just do a bit beside and make an area larger than you think you're going to need, and then you can shift it around and just see which area you like best in your window. Just come back and blend this one in again. Isn't that pretty? Okay. Because what I'm thinking is I would have, see what I mean? You can sort of move it around. I think I might put a bit more of the deeper blue over here, so I've got a bit more choice. Right. Yes, I can move my window, put this behind the window where I fancy the look of it. Okay. Next thing I did was to use the same ink, but just, this is I think it's called Matrix. Is it called Matrix? The Matrix from Indigo Blue. And it's just a bunch of kind of overlapping numbers, really. And it's just to give a bit of texture. That's the thing, just a bit of texture. And I think I'll do it a couple of times. Now I'm going to wipe that because that's probably got a bit of oh no, I won't. I thought it will have picked up a bit of the dark blue, but we'll see. Let's put this over here. Okay. Oh, it's fine. You may not be able to see much, but it's kind of a subtle addition. Right. The next thing is I had a tidy up of my one of my drawers of embossing powders that I've had for a very long time, and I came across one that I used to use a long time ago. I don't think they made this anymore. I've not seen Heat It Up for a long time, but it's called Enchanted Gold. But loads of wow powders do this kind of thing as well. So what I'm going to do now is just dry this ink off because it's a bit wet, and then I'm going to overstamp with this marble granite, or I can't think what that one's called, from Textures. I think that would do. Okay, we'll take this mat out of the way. I'm going to ink this up with some Versamark and just stamp over all of it. Here's my Versamark. Let's put these out of the way. There we go. I wanted to dry the base first because otherwise when I put this embossing powder on, it would have stuck to what I'd stamped, or even the background. Some of it may still, but I think that'll be a little addition to the overall texture, so we'll see. There we go. Enchanted Gold. Ah, that's lovely. I think there's probably a tiny touch onto those, onto the stamping, but I think that'll look rather nice. Okay, here we go with heating again. I'll do this one underneath. And now on top. Okay, now all I have to do to assemble this card is, let me just wipe this. There we go. Is find the piece that I like best behind there. So I can start from here and I can choose anywhere along that spectrum. Find the bit I like best. Foam tape on the back. Join that to this and then add my dragonfly. I'll just assemble him, and then I think you can see. And then from the bit that I've got left that I cut the body from, cut my sentiment. Here are some tiny glue dots. I don't know whether they call them micro or what really, but they're very, very small. So put one on the back of the middle of this. Join that to, look at that, look at the colours. Isn't it fabulous? If you wanted to get the effect like I did on that butterfly that reminded me of my grandma's brooch, you could always emboss this with clear embossing as well. Would be super. Or you can put a glue dot on the back of this too. If a glue dot is a bit wide for what you're going to do, you can just roll it onto your finger. I've got a blue finger. And then stick it onto the back. So it's then like a sausage, it's narrower. And you can stick that onto your dragonfly. So, where you put them might depend on a bit more of the lighter part of the background, which is well to just see. So, my other one, I would assemble in exactly the same way, pop it on onto my card base, and that, as they say, is that. So, hope you found a little something to interest you, and thank you so much for watching.